Welcome to Ren Behind the Practice. I'm Sophie Campisi. I'm a holistic business strategist, and I spend a lot of my time in conversation with practitioners, coaches, and healers about the behind the scenes of their businesses. What I started noticing is that some of the most honest, important conversations about building a practice were happening quietly, one-on-one, behind the scenes, and often in isolation. Most practitioners are incredibly skilled at the work that they do with their clients, but very few of us were ever taught or trained in how to build a successful startup business. And suddenly we've been left to figure it out on our own. This podcast exists to bring those conversations forward. The dreams, the uncertainty, the highs and lows, the recalibrations, and the messy middle. My hope is that by normalizing these conversations, we can soften the stigma, feel less alone, and start closing the gaps together. Today's guest is Annie Landry. Annie is a wellness coach who helps women over 35 live their best lives through fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle coaching. Annie, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for showing up to have this conversation with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Before we look behind the scenes today, can you share with us a little bit about the work that you do?
Yeah, so I currently offer two group coaching programs. One is general wellness coaching for mostly women over 35. So it's an online program. I do individual programming for workouts and some nutrition guidance weekly. And then we get together every other week for group accountability coaching. And my students can also connect with me via a dedicated app where they can send me voice notes and pictures of them doing exercises, or if they have any questions, I can give them extra guidance in closer to real time that way so that I can help more people. And then the other program that I have is menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause coaching program. It's an 8-week program where we get together live once a week and we go into different topics like nutrition specifically for perimenopause and menopause, what those recommendations look like. And then we talk about different types of exercise. We talk about hormonal shifts, and we help identify what archetypes are presenting. So what kind of symptoms you may be experiencing, and so that we can tailor those recommendations to each woman in the group.
How does this work live? Go ahead. Were you going to add something?
Go ahead.
How does this work live in your life right now? Are you focused on this full time? Do you hope that it becomes full time?
So I decided to go all in at the beginning of the year. Before that, I also taught English online and I've taught dance online as well. But at the beginning of the year, I decided that it's time, it's make or break now. So I'm just going to go for it.
When you look ahead to the next 6 to 12 months, what goals do you have for your work and for your business?
I think the big one is just having steady, consistent income. I know it's never going to be totally predictable, right? That's just not how it works when you run your own business. But to really build something that I can count on. And it's still early days for me. So I just transitioned my work into online. I was doing a lot of in-person coaching before. And so it's navigating this is a little bit different when you're marketing just to people online.
It's completely different. So thank you for saying that and acknowledging that. It's two different ball games. It's so different. What do you think it's going to take to get to that point of consistent clients, consistent income? Really, when we're talking consistent income, it's consistent client flow. What do you think it's going to take actual action steps to get there?
I think that's a great question. I think consistent action is something that I need. I started with nothing in the online space. So, and I feel like we have to be everywhere and do all the things, right? And so now that I've given myself that foundation, but I need to show up regularly. And I know that with time that it will build. It's just making sure that I'm doing certain things every week. Like if I want to do a Substack post every week and I want to grow that, then I need to commit to that. And it just feels a little bit scattered right now. But I think that with the time, if I can just make it where it's like a regular practice of my own to be out there giving my audience what they need so that I can get the visibility that I need to make this work.
When you said, so if I want to do a Substack post, you can dive straight back in or you can just like restart, however feels good to you.
Yeah. So I think just whatever it is that I want to focus on and to grow. I think when you're starting out, it's so overwhelming because there's so many places like you feel like you need to be. And it's really hard to get that consistency, and you're kind of figuring it out. And then I also think maybe it's challenging at first because you're trying to land on the right messaging. How are you going to talk to your ideal client the way that they can hear you? So I think just showing up now that I've established it, just being more intentional with these are the things that I'm going to do every week. I'm personally not so great at keeping, not like real fixed when it comes with my time. So I work with my energy. I have total projector energy. You're familiar with human design. And so it's just making myself be more consistent and show up in that way, I think is what's gonna make this work.
Do you have an do you have a strategy that you're following that tells you this is what you should show up to do? Or is part of why it's hard is because you don't fully know exactly what to do, and then that loops back into making it hard?
That's a great question. It's probably a little bit of both. Because the way I structured my program has evolved, but I know like when my people find me, I mean, I know it right away, and so it's always an easy conversation to see if we should work together. So I know the messaging lands. I think maybe I struggled with it at first because I just think it's hard when we're in this wellness space, and there's so many different things. Like, what is wellness? That is a huge topic. It can be nutrition, it can be fitness, it can be working with your human design type, it's all the things, right? However it shows up, and it all informs, the work continues to inform itself. So I think it's hard. It can be hard to describe. And so I had to work on that messaging. But then as soon as I got in front of someone that got it, they got it right away, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I think and anytime I guess you put yourself out there, right? You're starting something new and you just so badly want it to work. It can be, I think, overwhelming, or maybe we just bite off a little more than we can chew at first. So I think I've gone through all of those iterations, and now it's just being more strategic.
Yeah, part of why I asked that is because I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I have never gotten the sense that there's a breakdown of willpower for you. And I get that a lot when people say, like, I just need to be more consistent. So I'm starting to like ask follow-ups around that, because a lot of these people, including him, like it's not like a willpower problem. I don't have that assessment at all. You're going to show up and do the work that you know you need to do. So it's part of why I'm teasing that apart a little bit, being like, well, maybe there's some other reasons consistency is feeling hard that aren't just like down to the basic, I need to sit down and get my work done. I'm like, yeah, well, maybe there's some other reasons why it's feeling hard, because almost every person that I talk to is so committed and so devoted to their work. They're going to do the things that they need to do to follow through. But I think sometimes they don't exactly know what that is. And that's part of why it feels really hard to stay consistent.
Yeah. And I think there's so much noise about what we're supposed to be doing and that we're supposed to be doing all the things, right? And I don't get the feeling, but I don't get the feeling that there is one or two right places to be for any one person. And I do think that there's certain ways where, once you figure out where your people are, then you can hang out there. You don't have to go all the other places. And I think for me, that's just been something interesting going from in person to online. It hasn't quite been what I thought to begin with. So it's just teasing that out, like you said, and trying to find the people where they are that I can help.
1,000%. And it's so spot on. I had this conversation with Aisha in the last episode, and it's come up as a pattern about busting the social media growth myth about like more is better, you just need to post more and people are going to find you. And it's like, no, like I'm more connected and more thriving with my community than I ever have been. And haven't posted on social media in a long time. And I probably need to get around to it, but no, it just matters. Can you find your people? Where are they? And nurture them and have those conversations and connect with them wherever they are. But it's not about doing one type of thing. It is about the most important piece to this puzzle, besides getting clear on who you're looking for. If you don't know who you're looking for, you can't connect with them anyway, is finding where they are. Like that is the best use of time early on is to nail that piece that you just said. It's really a matter of finding where they are. Like that is so important to long-term success, sustainability, confidence, all of the things.
It's so true. And it's not as easy as it sounds, or as easy as it's definitely not as easy as I thought it would be. Right. It's like, I have this really great thing. Everybody should like everybody who fits this demographic, right, is going to love it. But that may or may not be true. Right. But it's like you have that feeling and it's like, well, come on. Like like you put an offer out the first time and it's like, it's this big deal, fingers crossed. And it's like when you get crickets at the beginning, it's hard to keep going. And I mean, we know that that's where entrepreneurs find success though, right? Is like, it's that moment when you want to quit, like after you've launched something a couple of times and it finally starts to hit. That's where it's the not giving up at that point, right? And I think we wouldn't be being honest if we hadn't, I think most of us, if we hadn't hit that point, like, and it's just the being able to persevere and to adapt, but without changing. That's the other thing that I'm worried about is when you're kind of still trying to figure out your, I guess, strategy is probably the best word. And you're making tweaks. It's like, well, did I tweak something too soon? Like, was it really not going to work? And did it need to be tweaked? Or did I just make the cycle continue? Right. that part I think is also challenging, especially in a space like this.
1,000%. This is what I call, and I teach people about offer hopping. When we launch something or we put something out and it doesn't get the reception that we hope, and then we'll tweak it and think, oh, well, I need to add this feature to make it more desirable or lower the price or do this, when it very rarely has to do with any of those small things. It usually has to do with more of the earlier stuff that we talked about, nailing that target market, getting super clear about their pain points, their desired dream outcomes, how to talk to them about it,
Okay.
how to connect with them. If we have a hard time with our offers, it's never the offer right away that needs to be adjusted. It's actually like going back and refining earlier some of those other things. And you mentioned something about, the messaging, and this loops that conversation back around, which is the best way to figure out how to talk to your people is to spend an enormous amount of time talking to them, but not as an expert. Just talk to them and hear how they talk about their problem. Use those words, keep language banks. I teach people how to do that, how to collect that information, collect that data. And it can sound so dry sometimes when I tell people like market research and collect data. It's like, no, you're not sitting behind a screen, like getting on Google and doing research. You're talking to people, like you're doing the real work. You're connecting deeply with people. You're connecting authentically with people. You're letting them talk about their deepest pains and what they're going through and the things that are causing them suffering or the things that are keeping them up at night. And you're showing up for them, but you're also paying attention to the way that they talk about it. And you're writing those words down and you're keeping a language bank, because that is the gold that has it all really start working. So everything that you're saying, like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think as coaches, I've noticed this with other coaches as well, is we go into this coach speak, right? Like you were saying, like we talk like an expert, and it's not easy for a client to receive that, because if they knew the language that we had, they wouldn't need us to begin with, right? So I think there is just realizing that. And sometimes that's kind of hard in your copy and things like that, right? To really take it back and meet them where they are and tell them how you can help. Because that's the whole point. It's just, how can I help as many people as I can?
1,000%. It's so true. And this is that ironic thing that happens when the more qualified, the deeper we go into our expertise, ironically, the further it can bring us from the people that we most want to help, because we become so good at it and we can't see through any other lens than our expert lens, and we forget what it was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and exactly what you're saying. And we go into that expert speak just because those are our conversations, and it's right for our conversations to be that way, but there's a time and place for those conversations, and it's a matter of learning how do we bridge back to meet our people where they are, so that they can feel seen. When it comes to building our businesses, it's all about building trust and connecting with people deeply and making them feel seen and heard and understood. That's what has people in our messaging. That's what gives a hit to their nervous system. Like, they need to feel what we're saying, and that's how they feel what we're saying. It's not by us being an expert. Like, they don't get it, it's going to go in one ear, out the other. It's like, how can you connect to them deeply? It's like speaking in a way that's going to like have their nervous system have a reaction.
Totally.
What else feels hardest or most uncertain?
Um, hit on some pretty big things. I think the other thing, though, I would say is I don't know. I mean, I think wellness is something people are always going to be looking for improving their wellness. I mean, we live in a crazy world, but to that end, we live in a crazy world right now. And I think people are maybe a little hesitant to invest even in themselves right now. And so that's just, I think just the climate is a little bit tricky. Yeah, like pricing strategy and things like that. I think, I'm of two minds. It kind of depends on the day. And yeah, I just think that that's a little uncertain right now. You can't spend other people's money for them. So I know that I'm there just to help if somebody thinks that I'm their person to help them. So I have to trust that that will just work out. And that's not my business to get into that for them. I just need to do what works for my business so that I can serve more people. But that's tricky.
Yeah, I totally agree. There is so much uncertainty, and one of the things that I thought of when you said that is, yeah, I don't know, but based on what I'm hearing about things is that consumers are still spending. We are usually racking up some debt. I think that people have more credit card debt than ever, like in the history of our country, which is a reflection of things, but people are still spending. It's a matter of, like you said, connecting and doing our due diligence to make sure that we are laying those foundations. We know who our people are. We know their pain. We know their dream outcome. We know how to message to them by listening to them and getting to know them inside and out so that our message lands. And if we lay those foundations, I think that we have to trust that it will continue to connect and land, and we will come through this. We will come through this chapter. And yeah, like this one comes up for me. I've been thinking about this one a lot too. Of like, gosh, like, is this a bad time to be a business owner? And it's like the work that we're doing is deeper than just a small thing, or deeper than just buying a new, an additional shirt when you already have 20. This is work that if people are hurting and they're in pain and we're able to speak to that and we're able to provide them a dream outcome that contributes to their overall well-being, health, wellness, success, family, all of the things. Yeah, we're doing all the things that they need for us to be doing.
Absolutely. And it's just about, I mean, I think anybody in this field, it's just about helping. So, it is selfish, and I've kind of had to retrain my brain in that way. Like, it's selfish not to make the offer, right? That's what, I mean, I invested all this time and money to get the experience and education that I have. And I can boil it down for you and help you get where you want to be. That would be selfish not to offer that. So it's just hard. I mean, I think it's just hard when you're putting yourself out there and you're like, oh, is this going to work? Is this right? And then, you find your person and they're like, oh yeah, here, I'm happy to. Please do what you do, work your magic. And it's just remembering that you just have to find those people that need you. And that's it. And then do the work.
Absolutely. I have a business mentor who has taught me that same exact thing. At a certain point, right? Everything that I do for my business and everything I teach people to do is permission based, right? Like permission based everything. Everything is permission based. And he's taught me at a certain point, you have a duty and responsibility to make sure that they know that you can solve the thing that's causing them suffering. So it is having that. And I think what, you're saying, I think some of that comes along with confidence and being at the beginning. And like our confidence will continue to grow and does continue to grow as we have more success stories and we nail these things in and we have more clients and we know, like, without a doubt now exactly who our ideal client is and the type of person that we know that we can absolutely help because we've done it so many times. Of course, then it becomes easier to know because we have that confidence through time and through competence and knowing, like, absolutely, I can help you. But at the beginning, we still have that duty and responsibility because, and I think what you're saying is bringing up a really valid point, which is we might not be today where we're going to be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But if we know that what we do can help our people, we know that genuinely and authentically that is our goal, we have something to offer them.
Totally. And just because, I don't know, like bringing things online changes, yeah, it changes the delivery because I want to make sure that it's the right amount of support, right? If I'm in front of someone all the time, I can gauge, like, are you getting what you need from me? I know I can make you successful. I know I can help. But it was the delivery, the design of things. And then when you're trying to figure that out, it does kind of make you like, okay, well, is this right? Until you see it happen a few times and it's like, okay, I got the right scald on that. And also if something isn't working, I just want my clients to know that, tell me, right? I talk to them about that all the time. I'm like, please tell me how you want me to communicate with you. Like, I need to have boundaries in a group program so I can serve more people. But if it's not landing, that's something I want to know, right? Like, how do you want to be motivated? All of those questions we can still ask, just like we were in person. It's just, it's managing the workload of, are there overwhelming themes between everyone, or realizing that we're all unique and maybe we prefer to be communicated with too in a different way. And that's been easier to balance than I thought it would be, honestly. I think it's just remembering that we're still just people, even if it's web-based coaching, we're still just people, and that people respond really well to that because it is just that I want to help you energy.
Totally. And what you're saying, it's so wise and is so aligned with where I hope we all are headed and getting to, which is real, conscious, living and breathing, permission based, but human businesses and human interactions, and understanding that we don't have to wear a mask about, oh, well, if I, ask them this, maybe they won't think I'm as good at what I do if I don't already have it all figured out. And it isn't true. You can absolutely still be an expert and still be figuring things out. That's where we all are. And I think what you're saying, it's so wise to bring that message forward of, like, you're allowed to be an expert and still ask your clients for feedback.
I think about, I started dancing when I was 3. I think about my best dance teachers or even other teachers I've had in my life, coaches, that the ones that I learned the most from were always the ones that were checking in with us, right? Like, is this landing, or how is this landing? How is this feeling in your body? All of those things. And then they looked at everything like it was a puzzle piece. And so that's something that I try and do in my coaching and in my work, but I think it feels a little different online until you get comfortable with that. And it's like, no, I just want to know so that I have all this other knowledge that I can bring to the party, or I can change, maybe I do need to change something in the way that I'm communicating, or whatever it is, tell me what makes you tick, and then let me figure out how to get you there, from there, where you are to where you want to be. So yeah, I hope that that's something, I think it's something I certainly value in my mentors, but you're right. I hope that we get to see more of that, like being real. So I really appreciate what you're doing here with your podcast and all of your work. I think it's really timely and important.
Thank you. If this doesn't happen, if you're not able to get your work to the place that you want, what's the cost? What's the cost to you, to others, to the world?
I think that for me, I would just be just really disappointed, right? I mean, it's such a beautiful opportunity that we have to be able to work for ourselves. and to bring this idea out. I mean, it's wellness coaching. It's not like the most revolutionary thing. There are bajillions of other personal trainers and nutrition coaches out there, right? But for me to bring my voice to it in this way with my experience, I think, yeah, it's something that's deeply personal to me. And I've seen it. I've seen the help that I can give other people and sometimes that they didn't even know they needed. And I think there are other people out there that could use my help. So if they want it, I want to be able to do that. And if I can, or when I support my family by doing that, I think is there anything better, right? It's like I'm finally stepping into and building my own dream instead of working for someone else, right? And doing little pieces of this. It's like, for me, it's putting almost everything I've ever done together to be able to like use it in a completely different way. So I think that, yeah, the biggest cost to me would be disappointment. But like we were talking about earlier, I do think that I think we're all here to help to serve others in some way. And I think that I know it's what I'm being called to do. So I need to own that. I need to step into that and make it happen.
Your people need you. Absolutely. Like that's the bottom line. And you just nailed it. Your people that need you need you. They're out there. They need you. They need the specific life experience that you have, the specific take that you have, your unique way of approaching things. They're out there. We don't all need all of the people to be our clients. We need our people to be our clients. And the ones that are out there for us are craving for us to get into reality with that and focus on them so that we can get brilliant at helping them, whatever pocket of people that is, so that we can become masterful at supporting them. And everything that you're saying is bringing that, fully around. Yes, your people need you. They need everything that you are and all of your life experiences that contributed to you being in this place right now, answering the call to be of service, devoting your life to your work and your mission so that you can support them. Anything else that you want to add before we wrap up today?
No, I don't think so. You've had some great questions.
Thank you. Annie, thank you so much for joining me today to have this conversation. And for those of you who are listening, if any part of this resonated, you're in the right place, please reach out. I want to hear from you. And if you want to reach Annie directly, the links to her website and her Instagram are in the show notes. Thank you again, Annie, and to everyone else. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you for the next episode of Ren Behind the Practice.